Good morning. I would like to call this meeting to order. Thank you for joining us during our weekly virtual MLS breakfast meetings. My name is Dina Deng from Pinnacle Real Estate Group, and I'm your June MLS Program Chair. A little about me. My name is Dina Deng from Pinnacle Real Estate Group, and I am your June MLS Program Chair. A few housekeeping tips. All participants will be muted upon entry to the MLS breakfast meeting. And should you have a question or comment, please remember to enter it into the chat box. Please remember to join us weekly as we will have our virtual MLS breakfast meeting every Thursday at 9 a.m. As always, this meeting is being recorded and will be available online on our YouTube channel, West San Gabriel Valley Realtors. Please remember to follow WSGVR social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also watch all our pre-recorded videos on YouTube. West San Gabriel Valley introduced a new text message service. For update, text WSGVR to the number 72727. C.A.R. MLS Quick Tips. June 15 reopening, open houses and showing. C.A.R. has created an extensive and detailed new Q&A and quick guide to ensure that members are in the compliance for the open house and showings. The Q&A addresses the following issues: physical distance and cleaning requirements, posting rules of entry, PIDs and other sign-in requirements, wearing of masks, requiring proof of vaccine and negative COVID test result, distributing flyers, reopen offices. To know more detail, please visit our website at www.car.org. Today's agenda consists of our affiliate spotlight, Nancy Chen, lawyer's title, followed by the affiliates NHD panel, Sage Gomez, Brandon Savransky, and John Wax. Just a reminder that to be eligible for today's raffle, you must be a West San Gabriel Valley member and your name must be displayed to win. No telephone number will be accepted. Today, our affiliates spotlight will be brought to you by the affiliates committee chair, Sage Gomez, and the vice chair, Brandon Savransky. The floor is yours, Nancy.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Nancy Chen. A lot of you know me for many, many years, but a lot of you don't know too much about my life, my family. I've been with Lawyers Title for many years. This is my 40th year in title. I didn't do anything else before title, not real estate, not loan, no escrow. Title is my life. And I'm very happy to be here to tell you a little bit about what inspires me. And I think I'll share some photo of my family. And I was one of the oldest of 5 children. My father is a chemical engineer. My mom is a typical housewife. There's me when I was 2 years old. I think I got my first toy of a leather-made dog, a puppy dog. It was made with leather. I still remember it. It was brown and beige. My parents are very loving parents. My father came to school to the United States to study textile. So we came here early, but we're all immigrants. I have 2 sisters and 2 brothers. They're my inspiration and my motivation to make it in life and to help my family. When we escaped Vietnam, where my father had his factory, textile, we didn't have anything except the 7 of us. Unfortunately, I lost my dad, which is on the right-hand side, and my brother 1 year apart. My dad passed away about 13 years ago. My brother passed away with cancer, lung cancer, 14 years ago. So there's only 4 of us left, plus my mom. Being an immigrant, I think that we really know that we have no choice. We have to establish ourselves here. So I've always made a point to work as hard as I can, help as many people as I can, and to really dedicate myself to what I do. It's really interesting, that picture of my brothers and sister, we took it in the studio, and it's on my wall in my living room still. But this old lady has no relationship to me, but I really feel a very close connection to her. She's 80 some years old, almost 90. She is a Vietnamese immigrant, never worked a day in her life. She came here with kids and family. She didn't know what to do. She only knows how to cook and clean. So she did. She made her Vietnamese chicken pho her priority. She started a very little tiny restaurant. And her ginger lime sauce is the best that you've ever had. And that was her picture. One day, she still comes in and does her ginger sauce. She hand selects all her ginger. You can see that in front of her. She hand peels everything and she chops it up and she makes her sauce. And you dip the chicken in it. So I asked her permission to take a picture. Her picture is in my phone. And I realized that this country is made of all different people from different times we immigrated here. And we're in an industry that really is important to everyone. We're helping realtors, escrows, lenders, and NHD and everybody, Sage and Home Warranty and Brendan. We're all helping people to live their American dream, their biggest investment in their life, to buy a home, to make a life for their family, to go on and educate their children and bring a better life to their heirs. So I think what we do as a Western Gabriel Association plays a very important part in our clients' life, in society, and in our community. So I want to thank you, and I will always remember this old lady. She raised 4 generations. Her grandkids now are running the restaurant. And I went to one of her grandchild's wedding right before COVID. And it's just so inspiring to have people like that in our lives. And I want to thank you, everybody, for supporting Nancy Chan and Lawyer's Title, being my friend, being my clients. Thank you so much. Love you guys.
Thank you, Nancy. We will now have a affiliates introduction. Affiliates, please remember, this is just a morning greeting, no promotions. Sandy Franco from First American Home Warranty.
Good morning, everyone. Sandy Franco, First American Home Warranty. Have a fantastic day.
Unita Wu from Home Warranty of America.
Good morning, Unita Wu from Home Warranty of America. Your 13 months home warranty. Let me know if you need any help. Happy Thursday.
Thank you. John Wax from SnapNHD.
Good morning, everyone. John Wax with SnapNHD Natural Hazard Disclosure Reports. Have a wonderful day.
Judy Chow from AAA Capital Investments.
Good morning. This is Judy, loan officer. Have a great week. Thank you.
Thank you. Angie Tang from First American Title.
Good morning, Angie Tang, First American Title. Thank you.
Joseph Najal from Pillow to Post Home Inspectors.
Good morning, everybody. This is Joseph Nguyen with Pillar to Post Home Inspectors. Again, I just want to say that was a beautiful story, Nancy.
Mark Wu, Allstate Insurance.
Good morning, everybody. Mark Wu with Allstate Insurance for your property insurance needs. Have a fabulous week.
Cosma Sanchez from New Aim Funding.
Good morning. Thank you, Nancy, for that inspiring story. Cosmo Sanchez with New Aim Funding. Thank you.
Sage Gomez from My NHD.
Good morning, everyone. Sage Gomez here with My NHD.
Annie Fan from Chicago Title. Annie Fan, is you there? She's not here. Okay, next one will be Brandon Savransky from First American NHD.
Good morning, everyone. Brandon Savransky with First American NHD.
Teresa Lam from Crimson Title.
This is Teresa Lam with Corinthian Title Company, and good morning.
Okay, thank you, all of you. We always remember to support affiliates with your transactions. We are very happy to introduce open pitching to our virtual MLS breakfast meeting. Today, we have no listing featured. At this time, help me welcome our today's moderator, Teresa Lam from Crimson Title, who will be introduce our guest speakers. The floor is yours, Teresa.
Thank you. And thank you. It's a pleasure and honor to be a moderator for today's NHD panel. Here we have Brandon Savransky from First American NHD, John Wax from SnapNHD, and Sage Gomez from My NHD. They are natural hazard disclosure representatives and we'll be discussing the new C.A.R. Form FHDS, Advisory Disclosure and Addendum. FHDS stands for Fire, Hardening, and Defensible Space. Brandon, John, and Sage will be going into details about this new form and how it will affect real estate transactions. Please keep in mind that they are not C.A.R. representatives, lawyers, or home inspectors. They can only answer this new form based on its importance to natural hazard disclosure. We will answer your question in the chat box after the panel questions are through. So please type in the chat box for your questions, and we will get to them later as the remaining time allowed. Well, looking at these questions, we're going to learn a lot today. Okay, we'll start the question with Brandon. Brandon, what is defensible space?
Thank you, Teresa. So defensible space is the name for the 100-foot area that owners of properties located in fire zones must maintain around the structures on their properties. And creating and maintaining the defensible space is very important to slow the spread of wildfires and reduce the likelihood that the structure will catch fire. And it's also important for protecting firefighters who may be on the property defending that structure. And the defensible space is one extends 30 feet from the buildings and other structures on the property, such as garages and other structures. But in some localities, this may be a little farther, so you would have to make sure that you look into the specific city or locality. And then the second, within that zone, they are required to remove all dead plants, grass and weeds, vegetation, remove dead and dry leaves and pine needles from the yard, roof, and rain gutters, remove branches that hang over the roof, and keep dead branches 10 feet away from the chimney. You must trim your trees regularly to keep branches a minimum of 10 feet from other trees. Relocate wood piles to the zone 2, which I'll go into further, and remove or prune flammable plants and shrubs near windows. Remove vegetation and items that could catch fire from around and under decks, and create a separation between trees, shrubs, and items that could catch fire, such as patio furniture, wood piles, and swing sets. Zone 2 extends 100 feet from buildings and other structures, and property owners must do the following within Zone 2. You must cut and mow annual grass down to a minimum height of 4 inches, create horizontal space between shrubs and trees, create vertical space between grass, shrubs, and trees, and remove fallen leaves, needles, twigs, bark, cones, and small branches. However, they may be permitted to a depth of 3 inches.
Good. Wow, that's a good law. Anyway, second question for John. What are the defensible space laws?
The defensible space law came in, as we were saying, as a result of the wildland fires for over the 30-40 year period, all the devastation and destruction. The law is California Public Resource Code 4291, which requires property owners to, in high and very high fire severity zone, must maintain defensible space around their properties and structures to minimize fire risk. In addition, local county and cities have enacted local vegetation maintenance ordinances for the same purpose of maintaining these defensible spaces and lowering the risk of fire.
Good. Well, third question for Sage. What does this new law do?
I just had to give it to Brandon and John because this is a lot of information. So kudos to you two for getting it going. So
go ahead, take it, Brandon. I don't have it in front of me. I'm sorry.
No, it's a lot of information. So a lot of details that you have to pay attention to. But so basically this new law expands on the home hardening disclosure advisory that was made law on January 1st. So it's replacing that. So starting July 1st, it's the fire hardening defensible space. So basically it's going to require that homeowners are now in compliance with the defensible space requirements by having an inspection done on the home. So Brandon already talked about that. All those little things, the patio furniture, anything that makes your home susceptible to fires, you have to have your home inspected for that now. So now it's a document. So all homeowners either before selling or buying their home must obtain documentation of compliance with these new defensible space laws.
Very good. As you answer the questions, I have a lot of, answers these questions. I have a lot of questions myself. Anyway, the next one is Brendan. When does the new defensible space compliance law go into effect?
So again, 1 week, 7 days. So next Thursday, July 1st, like Sage said, July 1st is when it goes into effect. And so if you have escrows that are closing after July 1st, just remember that this FHDS form goes into effect July 1st.
Okay, thank you, John. Thank you, Brandon. John, when must the defensible space addendum be included in the contract?
Okay, thank you. Again, this goes into effect July 1st, 2021. Any escrows that are closing on that day or any time after it applies to. We're dealing with properties that are located in a high or very high severity hazard zone area. It only deals with residential properties, 1 to 4 units, including common interest developments such as condos and townhomes. And it also includes mobile homes or manufactured homes, and only if a TDS applies to the transaction.
Whoa. Okay. Sage, are there exceptions?
Yeah, so what John just said about the TDS, so there are exemptions, all the standard exemptions under the TDS law apply. So the most common include sales involving probates, REOs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, and specific types of trusts. So there are exemptions to the rule.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that explanation. And I got the word wrong. Anyway, Brandon, again, does C.A.R. have a form for establishing how parties will comply with the defensible space documentation requirement?
Yes, just as we had talked about earlier, it's called the Fire Hardening and Defensible Space Advisory Disclosure and Addendum. It's also known as the C.A.R. Form FHDS, and it's being released soon. I think it already was released ahead of the June 2021 release. It is used for transactions expected to close on or after July 1st, just as John said.
Good. Okay, John, is the defensible space addendum required for leases?
Typically, no. However, there are 2 scenarios where it does apply. It applies for leases with an option to purchase, as well as ground leases coupled with improvements. Ground leases are leases that are put into place where it allows the tenant to put an improvement or a structure on a property. And after the term of the ground lease ends, the landlord takes back the property and gets the benefit of the improvement.
Okay, great. I'm sure these are all included in all those properties and high and higher, or whatever. Anyway, Sage, what information is contained in the defensible space addendum?
So we already kind of went over a little bit of the idea of what is in there. So the first half of the form contains the fire hardening disclosure. So this form includes the 6 fire hardening disclosure vulnerabilities that a seller needs to check off if it makes their home susceptible to wildfires or flying embers, like Brandon said in the very beginning. So that's the first half of the form. And the second half of the addendum deals with the new defensible space compliance documentation, but we're going to go into more detail about that. I know John and Brandon are going to go into more detail about that documentation because that's the whole big thing that we're dealing with right now.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Sage. Brandon, what options does the form give the buyer and seller for handling compliance with the law?
There are 4 options that the parties can choose from, depending on whether or not the city or county where the property is located has enacted a local ordinance requiring homeowners to obtain documentation showing that they're in compliance with the defensible space laws. So for areas without a local ordinance requiring an owner to obtain documentation of compliance with the defensible space laws, either the buyer must agree to obtain documentation of compliance within 1 year after closing escrow, or if the seller has obtained documentation of compliance within 6 months prior to closing, the seller must provide the documentation to the buyer and provide information on the local agency from which a copy of that documentation may be obtained. So for areas that have enacted a local ordinance requiring an owner to obtain documentation that the property is in compliance with the defensible space laws, either the buyer must agree to comply with the requirements of the local ordinance, or the seller shall provide the buyer with a copy of the documentation that complies with the requirements of the local ordinance and information on the local agency from which a copy of that documentation may be obtained.
Thank you. John, how can a seller or buyer determine if there is a local ordinance in place that requires owners to obtain documentation of compliance with the defensible space law?
Well, in some cases, these ordinances are very well known because they've been in place for quite some time. In other cases, they may be brand new, but they haven't been enforced yet. And in some other cases, they are in place and they are being recently enforced based on the new law changes. However, in any case, the seller needs to know whether or not there is a local vegetation maintenance ordinance in place, because they have to know whether or not there's a point of sale requirement to supply this information prior to the close of escrow, because escrows can't close if there is one in place without having the documentation in place. One area that they can go to is a local escrow company to find out if there is one in place and what the requirements are. And if they can't go there, they can always go to the county or city where the property is located, and they can even type it in, go on a website, type in defensible space requirements, or contact the city or county directly and get the information for them. But in any case, they do need to know the information and they do need to comply with it.
Very good, thank you. Sage, how can an agent assist the seller in determining whether the property is located in a high or very high fire hazard severity zone?
So an agent can assist a seller by showing them their natural hazard disclosure document. So that's where Brandon, John, and I all come in. Regardless of who you're using, your NHD rep is going to show you that natural hazard disclosure if you're marked off yes in a very high or high fire hazard zone. And it's our job as NHD representatives to explain that to your buyer. So if you have any specific questions regarding if you are in a high fire zone, you're not only required to get fire insurance, but now you're going to have to fill out this compliance of documentation or documentation of compliance. So keep that in mind. And that's our job. That's John's job, that's Brandon's job, and that's my job as NHD reps. So go to your NHD rep, order that NHD listing, see if you are in a very high fire zone, and that's how you can assist your seller.
Oh, very good. Thank you, Sage. Okay, Brandon, again. I found a map of the state's responsibility areas online. It shows all of the fire zone in different colors throughout California. Can I rely on this map?
No.
Must be an answer.
They were saying no. No, do not rely on any map which visually presents fire hazard zones. You simply do not know how accurate it is. And like Sage said, order the NHD report.
Okay, I'm back again. So sorry. I'm trying to mute it because of the background noise. Anyway, and so now it's John right next. How can an agent assist the seller or buyer in determining how to schedule a defensible space inspection in order to obtain the required documentation of compliance?
Well, in this case, it's not really clear what the scope and expertise of a broker or real estate agent is in this regard, because it is still very new. However, there are two options that they can go and move towards. Number one is order your NHD up front, like we were always talking about, and look to see if it's in a state responsibility area or wildland fire area. If it is, then you can contact CAL FIRE and schedule with them the inspection of compliance. However, if it's not, it may be in a local responsibility area. And in that case, then they would contact the local fire department in the county and city to schedule the appointment. Or if they can find a company that can do it sooner, but that has been vetted by CAL FIRE to be able to do these compliance inspections, they can go with them. But again, it's always best for them to check with the sources of where these are being passed, and that would be the local county and cities, and I would contact them directly if you're not sure, just to make sure that you're going to be in compliance.
Thank you. Sage, when must the defensible space addendum be provided to the buyer?
It should be provided to the buyer, included on any seller counteroffer. So if it's not included in the counteroffer, the buyer may sign the addendum after acceptance. So just provide it at any time of the seller counteroffer.
Okay, thank you. Brandon, what happens if defensible space addendum is delivered after acceptance of an offer or counteroffer, or not at all?
As we discussed before, if the buyer receives the form after acceptance and does not agree to sign it, the seller may be stuck with the responsibility of obtaining the necessary documentation of compliance with the defensible space laws. And the buyer may have a right to cancel based on non-delivery. So as we talked about before, the defensible space form home hardening disclosure is within the TDS family of disclosures, and all disclosures within the TDS law that have the same applicability, the same exemptions, and significantly for this question, the same cancellation rights. And the TDS law grants a buyer a 3 or 5 day right of cancellation from the date of delivery of the disclosure, and 3 days if delivered in person, and 5 days for all other delivery methods. And if the disclosure is not delivered at all, then the buyer likely retains a continuing cancellation right until it is delivered.
Good. Well, this is the last question that Brandon spoke. Thank you very much. Now, I only have one question in here in the chat box. Now, if you have a question, please write it out now, okay? So the question is that does all these defensible space includes vacant lot? Hi, can you hear me?
Who are you asking?
Yeah,
are you asking?
You didn't.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Let's see. Let's have Sage speak.
Okay, so all real property sale transactions require it. So even if it's vacant land, if it's marked off in a high or very high fire zone, you're gonna have to fill out this documentation. If it's a residential 1 to 4, very high or high fire zone, if it meets the requirements of this new fire hardening defensible space advisory form, you're gonna have to do it. So vacant land, mobile homes, residential, anything that requires it, you're gonna have to do it. So vacant land, you have to do it for vacant land.
That was a very good question. And thank you, Sage. Okay, another one. Since only one NHD report is needed per listing, which one of your report is most comprehensive and accurate? If all the same, then what is your personal razor's edge? Well,
I think we can all answer that.
I'll let
I
John.
think all three of us can answer that. We're all special in our own ways, and we all bring something unique to the table. And that's all I can say. We're all great. So I don't know what John and Brandon want to say about that one.
Okay,
It's your personal preference.
Yeah, it's the fit. If you have a good fit with your rep, it should be. Besides, we're the only company with the new FHDS in our report. So if you want to say that's an edge, maybe that's the edge.
Well, thank you. Well, is there any more question coming up? Well, I don't see anything else. So I thank you, all of you, all three representatives from NHD industry, and that was very educational. And thank you very much, and for having me as your moderator. So take over.
And thank you for allowing to put on this important program.
Great. Yes, it is important indeed.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, Teresa.
Great job, Teresa.
Thank you so much. Thank you, John.
On behalf of our Wessex and Gabriel Valley Realtors, we would like to thank our guest speakers for their very informative presentation. Attendance drawing. Please type your DRE member name and email in the chat box. First winner is
I think Mark Wood left. Lucia is here. Dana?
Hi, I'm here.
Yeah, Lucia is here.
Okay.
Lucia, could you please type in your email address, please? Lucia?
Lucia Tan.
Hello? She's not replying. Lucia, I have asked you to unmute. There you go. Can you type in your email, please?
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations. That's first one, right? I don't believe this person is here. So we only have one, right? We have two more to go.
We have two more. Yeah.
Wow, Sage is here. Sage, please type in your email address. We know you're here.
And congratulations.
Watch a movie on Amazon. Cecilia, Cecilia, I know you're here. Hello, Cecilia? Cecilia, are you there? This is the last one. Cecilia, are you there?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, hi Cecilia. Please type in your email address.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, congratulations, all the winners. Please make sure to participate in our education classes. A list of upcoming class is displayed in your screen. Our education class next week will be, the first one will be Certificate International Property Specialist. That will be happen on Monday and Tuesday, June 28. There is a charge. For West Gabbard Valley members will be 160, and non-West Gabbard Valley members will be 200. The second class will be Selling High Performance Homes. That will happen on Monday, June 28th. The third one will be, are we seeing the end of the Tenant Relief Act? That will be on Tuesday, June 29th. The fourth one will be Hurdle Apps, Automatic Business Expense and Mileage Package. That will be on Thursday, June 30th. These 3 classes will be free. Thank you everyone for joining us meeting today. Please join us next week for our July 4th celebration. Your July program chair will be Vincent Hu, VAC International Inc. Please support our affiliates with your transactions. This meeting is now adjourned.